Yeah. Before we talk about where we are, we must first remember from whence we came. Marty Schottenheimer brought winning football back to Kansas City and built what is now known as Chiefs Kingdom.
We transitioned from a team built on its defense in the 90s to one of the most dominant offenses and return men in NFL history, led by Dick Vermeil.
In 2012, a 2-14 Chiefs team displayed disastrous play on the field and turmoil off it. We asked to save our Chiefs, and in came Andy Reid, who immediately turned this franchise into a perennial playoff team.
Then, on April 27, 2017, the Chiefs broke free from their journeyman quarterback restraints and drafted Patrick LeVon Mahomes.
In 6 years with Patrick at the helm, we're back-to-back champs and a dynasty headed towards a three-peat. We are unrelenting for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the Allies. Arrowhead Allies. Welcome in. That's right, 5-0, and welcome into Arrowhead Allies, everybody. And we are going to get this kicked off right and kicked off with former Chiefs punter from 94 to 98. Everybody put your hands together. Welcome Louie Aguiar to the show. How's it going, Louie?
Doing good. How y'all doing?
Excellent. How you doing, buddy? We miss you at Arrowhead.
I gotta get some more light on the situation here over here.
Hey, man, you're in the dark. That creates some
the
awesome.
Arrowhead blackout was like 12 years ago, man.
He played for the Jets, too, so he's taking an Aaron Rodgers darkness retreat right now.
Well done,
Hey, I'm single, so I don't turn on many lights.
Hell yeah.
I don't need to see myself. I'm ugly. I know that.
Louie, you look great. You're coming in here. You're repping 5-0 as we are here. Chiefs over Saints, Monday Night Football, 26-13. Louie, we've been asking, we've been demanding, we've been begging for a game where the Chiefs are able to come out and put a stamp on a game and put an opponent away. It still wasn't exactly easy thanks to a red zone turnover by former Chief Colin Saunders. But the Chiefs walk away with this win, and I think made a statement. A lot of people now coming around to, hey, maybe this 5-0 Chiefs team that's won back-to-back Super Bowls is pretty good here after all, Louie.
Yeah, they are. They've been playing great ball. The first four games, I mean, they never played their best ball, and they were 4-0. Now, last night, watching the game, they finally put together a pretty solid game, and they ended up playing really well. All three phases of the game, offense, defense, special teams, and they did a great job last night. It was fun to watch.
Louie, there's a lot of frustration with what this team could have been. Obviously, they haven't played their best football yet. But I think that with the injuries, I think there's a little bit of an excuse there as to why this offense, and in particular, because the defense is playing great. We know that. But the offense has not been what it should have been to start the season. We know the injuries have played a massive part in that. But I think that the Chiefs showed something this game last night, that they have the ability to overcome injuries and put together a great game plan if executed correctly. And I don't know how you feel. I know you're a guy that played in the 90s, so you probably agree with me on this, but I want to hear your opinion. I think a balanced attack is the best way to go. We know that we love watching Patrick air the ball out, but with the injuries several wide receivers out, a lot of guys that are new to the system are learning their way into this system. I think it's better that they continue to do the approach they had last night, where you have Kareem Hunt running the ball 20 plus times, mixing in Samaje P. Ryan and Carson Steele whenever Isaiah Pacheco obviously comes back. Do you see it that way as well, for them to alleviate some of the pressure from the defense, because it's unfair to ask them to carry the load every single week?
Yeah, they need to, back in the 90s, we were more of a 50-50 team. 50 run, 50 pass. Nowadays, it looks like it's way above that on the passing side, 70-30. To help out Spags and the defense, you got to run the ball to try and take as much time off the clock. With how fast these receivers are and how fast they can score, slow it down a little bit and, let the guys in the backfield run. Let them run their money also, because when Tyreek Hill was here, scoring left and right. Now with the new kid Worthy, same way. To help out Spags and the defense, watching that run game last night, with Marcus Allen back in the day, it's phenomenal watching, a little bit of old time football. Watching them run the ball was phenomenal.
Excellent. Hey, Louie, honored to have you on tonight. I'm the senior citizen of this group. I'm going to be 55 years old next month. And
I got you beat by 3 years.
Awesome.
Woohoo!
I've been watching football closely since 1977. And from 1977 to 1992, the starting quarterback or the backup quarterback was the holder on field goal attempts and extra points. We had Tony Adams, Mike Livingston, Bill Kinney in the 80s, and even Steve DeBerg from 89 through 91. And then when Dave Craig became the Chiefs starting quarterback in 1992, Brian Barker became the holder. When you were entertaining the thought of coming to the Kansas City Chiefs in free agency in 1994, did Kurt Schottenheimer, the special teams coach, or Marty himself say, Louie, we want to bring you to Kansas City, but can you also be a holder on field goal and extra point attempts? How did that all go down?
I was a free agent coming from New York. And when I talked with Kurt back then, when he brought me in, when he was special teams coordinator, he knew I punted, kicked off, kicked field goals, and also held. So he knew all that when we talked about it, when we went to dinner the night before I worked out for the Chiefs. So he knew all of that. And when my first mini camp, Nick Lowry came up to me and goes, can you hold? And I'm all, well, I held for one guy's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. Pat Leahy, I guess I can hold for you. He didn't like that answer.
Knowing Nick, I can assume not.
Yeah,
I held for Pat, who played I held for him his 18th year. I knew I could hold. I held in high school a little bit. I held in college, my freshman year in college. And so, I've always done it because, the more you could do, in high school, the more chances you get to get on the field. So I did whatever I could to get on the field to play back then. And it just carried over into the NFL, because I grew up playing soccer. So I was a goalie. So, I punted, kicked off, kicked field goals, and I could throw the ball a little bit because I was a quarterback in high school and I also pitched in high school and college. I could throw the ball. So, I tried to do whatever I could to be a part of the team, not just be a typical punter or kicker.
What do you feel led to that transition to having the quarterback or the backup quarterback? Because most of the time as a second string quarterback as well. What do you feel led to that transition to say, we're going to have punters do it? Were you the one that broke the mold on that? Or was that just like, nope, it's not going to be quarterback anymore. We're going to make sure the punters are holders on these field goals.
Right. When I came into the league, most of the punters were holding at the time.
Okay.
And who spends more time with the kicker? The punter. So that's how I think the revolution turned from quarterbacks to punters holding. Because I still remember watching, I grew up in the Bay Area, California. I grew up watching Joe Montana hold for Ray Walsh.
Yes.
And I'm all, wow, here's a guy who was a backup, same thing, backup quarterback to Steve DeBerg.
Yes.
And he held it for Ray Walsh, and even when he became the starting quarterback, Ray Warshie still wanted him to hold, so he still held when Ray was kicking. And then when Ray retired, that's when, they had Barry Hilton starting to hold. So, I mean, yes, back then I noticed the same thing. The backup quarterbacks always held. I guess they wanted, to try and run fakes and stuff. But who spends more time with the punter, with the place kickers than the punters? So we're always off to the side holding for them. So why not just have us hold? The field goal last night, the punter, I mean,
yes,
he dropped it, but he got the ball up. I saw him, get the ball up, put it back down, and Buckner put it through. They always think, oh, why don't you have a receiver hold? Well, sometimes receivers have great hands, but they don't have, they don't understand how to hold for kicking. Put it here, catch it, put it down. When I teach holding, I always taught, if holding for a right-footed kicker, it's like a first baseman who's right-handed making a sweep tag because you're catching the ball here. It's a sweep tag. It's the same motion here when you're holding and you put the ball on top, put your finger on top. So when I got the job coaching with the Jets, with Rex Ryan, I met with Ben Kawika, who was the new coordinator. Met with the GM, and then I met with Rex last, and he goes, "I got one question for you." I'm all, "Yes, Rex." He goes, "Can you teach my son how to hold so when he goes to Clemson next year, at least he can get on the field?" Well, sure, I can teach him to hold, and he held, and I worked with him for 6 months. He went off to Clemson, and Rex called me in his office one day, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm in trouble." And he goes, "Sit down." I'm like, "Uh-oh." And he goes, Dabo Swinney just told me, he goes, "Who's your son work with? This is the best holder we've ever had." And so Rex ended up telling him he worked with me. And so, yeah, that's, I did a lot of work with Seth to get him to hold there at Clemson for him. So,
excellent.
It's not always, I remember being in high school, well, let's get a receiver to hold. Well, a lot of them never could. So I said, well, let me try, I played quarterback at the time. So, I ended up holding my freshman year, my senior year, my junior, senior, I was kicking. So I had to teach somebody else how to hold. So, and I had a receiver, again, holding for me when I was in high school.
Well, Louie, you might have a job coming up with the Cincinnati Bengals if you're free, because they lost when their rookie punter, Ryan Reckow, who was here with the Chiefs for a short time before we chose Matt Araiza, didn't get this ball down. It ended up costing the Bengals a victory as their season is quickly slipping away from them. So what happened here?
From what I see there, I heard about it. I didn't see it. I don't see how well he caught it. I don't know, it might be a little inside. And from what I can see there, I mean, his right hand, when you catch the ball, you want to try and put your right hand on the belly of the ball, and he has it a little too high and on the laces because, these snappers are so good nowadays that they get laces every time. So it looks like from there, his right hand was too high, and it just slipped off the ball. Because I'd always try and catch the belly of the ball here with my right hand. My left hand, I try to catch the back part, the front part of it, the nipple part of it. So when I catch it here, I can put it straight. I can move it from here to here really quick for whoever I was holding for. And that's, how I teach it also. Trying, work on catching the nipple part of the football right here in your left hand. Just work on catching it here, then putting it down. Catch it here, put it down. And that's a great drill, and that's what I used to do when I was playing. So if you can catch it with one hand, this hand is just the guide hand to get the ball up and down. Ball's down on his knee, and that's the first time ever that's really, caught up to him.
Well, we're going to go to one of our fan questions here from Steve Harold, and he's, of course, Louie, so many memorable moments, whether it be fake punt, passes to Kevin Lockett, or this one, of course. Steve says, "I can still remember your unnecessary roughness penalty." And he says, "Did you like to tackle and show your toughness?"
Oh, heck yes. I love tackling because, when I played, like I said, I wanted to be a football player, not just the typical punter kicker. I worked out, lifted weights. And so that way, when I make the tackle, I could always say, "Hey, you got tackled by a punter." Punter.
Wait.
The craziest player on the team. Insane and brave.
Yes.
And that's me.
Hell
I love
yeah.
that.
That is you to a T, Louie.
I mean, I love making tackles. I still remember 90. This was 99. I was with Green Bay playing against Dallas, and I was punting to prime time.
Oh,
And Brian comes up to me before the game. He goes, hey, you give me a punt? I'm all, Prime, you run a 4.2. I run a 4.8. You do the math. I'm always getting it up to you. 36 to 42 yards, make you fair catch it. And then he was in there. He had a little bit of a groin injury, so they put a rookie in there. To this day, I still do not know who the returner was. And I punted the ball outside the numbers, left. The ball's on the left hash. I punted it left. It was a 52-yard punt, 4.8 something. And they ran a wall, and they caught the ball, ran to their sidelines and up their sidelines, and I got a beat on them. I tackled them on their sidelines. I tackled the rookie returner, and Prime comes running over. He goes, hey, he just returned that 50 yards on you. And I looked up at D, and I said, hey, Prime, you would have scored. He's got tackled by a rookie. I go, this rookie's got tackled by a punter. And Prime goes, man, your ass is mine tomorrow, rookie. So, I mean, I love making tackles, because, I'm part of the team. I'm not just some guy who's going to punt the ball and, jog off the field. I like, being in there. It was a lot of fun.
Heck
Got a
yeah.
fan interjecting in here. But anyway, go ahead, Lance.
Yeah. No, actually, I heard that punters are very liked on teams because they're always down to kick it, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But no, the question I have to ask you here, though, Louie, while we have, because we know that you're a longtime Chief, but you started your career with the Jets, and we got some big news today with the Jets.
Wow.
We heard that obviously the Jets they fired their head coach Robert Saleh. We know they're replacing him with the DC as an interim coach right now. Since Aaron Rodgers has been there, it just feels like it's become more of a dumpster fire. And that's from our outside's perspective. I'm not in any way associated with that franchise, but Woody Johnson's done this now 3 times where he's fired coaches in the middle of the season. This man doesn't have a lot of patience. Don't necessarily blame him because that franchise has been very snake bitten for what seems to be an eternity, especially at the quarterback position, which therefore is no mystery as to why they haven't had a lot of success. From your vantage point, man, I mean, does it look like it's getting any better for the New York Jets, or is this just more of the same of what's occurred, man, over the last what seems to be 4 decades with that franchise?
Yeah, I mean, you got to get a solid quarterback in there. And when I was there, we had Geno Smith, and he didn't pan out for the Jets, but then he went and was a backup a few other places before he landed in Seattle. And he got to grow and become a great quarterback. And this is my opinion. I think, Rodgers doesn't like to have a lot of motion. He doesn't like, putting guys in motion, this and that. And that's what Hackett likes to do. And so they're playing football to Rodgers like what he likes to do, and it's kind of biting him in the butt, because it's pretty vanilla offense. You don't have any motion, you don't have any of this, you don't have any of that. The Chiefs have all sorts of motion, this and that. Teams have to adjust to it. Teams playing the Jets, they don't have to adjust to anything, and it's kind of butting them in the butt. And before, Saleh's a great coach. I mean, he's done a great job as a D coordinator when he's out in San Francisco. But when you have a champagne taste and you're putting beer on the table, it's not going to end up very well. So that's what they're doing right now out there in New York. And it's sad to see. I played for them, I coached for them, and I struggle with that to see that they're not playing good ball.
Yeah. Yes, it's sad to see how Saleh was blindsided this morning. Didn't even get to say goodbye to his team.
Yeah,
Louie, let's go back to 1997 in the Kingdom.
Yes.
You know what I'm bringing up. You get this. You're ready to punt. You get the snap and you take one step and chuck it. And lo and behold, Kevin Lockett's down the field. He goes up and makes the catch, takes it down to the 1. How much practice did that take throughout that week? Did you have to hide behind a Well, I don't know. How did you have to? I mean, you had to disguise that it was a punt because a lot of the defenders, they're watching this whole play take place. They're going to see if you're passing it or punting it. But obviously, it fooled the Seahawks because they just saw the ball shoot straight up in the air, and what I saw through my optics, it looked like they thought it was a punt. How much practice went into that play, Louie?
I looked at a lot of film from Seattle back in the day, and I looked at it, and when our flyers go down the field, their corners would pull off the 20-yard line every single time. 20-yard line, they get out of the way because they don't want the ball to hit and bounce back and hit them. And so I looked at it, 97, I looked at film of 96, looked at it in 95. They did the exact same thing. So I brought up to Coach Stock. I said, hey, Coach, I think if I throw the ball down there, our flyers are going to have carte blanche because at the 20-yard line, their corners come off. And he goes, oh, they can tell if you throw it back there. I said, well, today at practice, I want to throw the ball and ask Tamarick Vanover if I threw it or punted it. And so I threw the ball. I punted the first one. And then I said, hey, Coach, I'm going to throw this one. Ask Tamarick if I punted and threw it. I threw it down there. I threw it high like that and came down. And Tamarick goes, I don't know. There's too many guys between me and Louie. Because you got to understand, you have the returner back there. You have a flyer out here and a corner. You have a flyer out here and a corner. So basically, out of 22 guys, there's 17 people, or well, minus me, there's 16 people between the returner and the punter. So you really can't tell what's going on. I don't think they can tell what's going on. So we did that at practice a couple of times, and Coach Stock looked at me. He goes, he has no idea. So that was on Wednesday. So on Thursday, we put it in, and we're actually in the practice facility because it was raining. I kept hitting the ceiling when I was throwing the ball. It was too low. And Mike goes, well, we're not going to run it because Marty can never see where the ball came down and see Kevin catching the ball. I said, okay. So I never thought we were going to run it. And we're, for first possession, we're going down, and Marty calls fake punt. I'm all, sweet. And I threw the ball, Kevin, and only one guy saw it. The linebacker saw me throw it. He was right there at the line, number 95. He runs back, and he's yelling, it's a pass, it's a pass. And Kevin Lockett goes up and catches it. And Danny Salamua was with Seattle at the time. And Danny comes up to me after the game. He goes, I was standing on the sidelines. We just stopped you guys. And he goes, I saw you throw it. And he goes, I stand right next to Erickson. He goes, that SOB does that in practice once in a while to save his leg because he can throw the ball farther than he can punt it. And Erickson goes, he does what? He goes, yeah, he throws the ball. And he goes, why didn't you tell us that? I didn't think they'd do it in a game.
Amazing play.
Like, why didn't you tell us he can throw the ball? He goes, I never thought they would do it in a game. So, yeah.
Loved it.
That's why the Seahawks signed Dan Salamua to get the intel on the punting game from the Chiefs, and he didn't.
And they didn't get it.
Louie, I have a strange bone to pick with you. I didn't realize that you were a Bear in 2000.
Yes.
And after Marty Schottenheimer resigned with the Chiefs after 1998, I was a lost soul. I didn't know what to do. I loved Marty Schottenheimer. So I was kind of like a quasi-Lions fan for like a season and a half. And so the 2000 season, Charlie Batch leads the Lions to the playoffs. So I think he gets hurt. Stoney Case comes in. You and Paul Edinger kick a 54-yard field goal to kick the Lions out of their playoff dream. So I guess we're kind of enemies now. I didn't know it all these years, but now we are mortal enemies.
What took you so long to figure that out?
I don't know. I'm slow, Louie. It only took me 24 years.
Yeah, they had to beat us. They had to beat us, the Bears, to get into the playoffs. And 3 seconds left on the clock. Paul, hits the ball right down the middle, and I still remember this. He takes off running. I'm 35. He's 22. I ain't catching him. So I take off running after him. Well, forget this. So I just went over and talked to John Jett, their punter, because I go, I'm not going to catch this kid. Yeah.
Did Paul have like a weird his back was to the goalpost stance.
Yes, he used to stand. I used to call him Whirlybird because he stood backwards. And he would just
see anything like that. Like what
like the top. I've never seen that before or after that. And he was always taught. I don't know who his kicking coach was at the time. They always taught him to keep his hip open, his right hip. So he just kept turning backwards, more backwards until he found that way when he kicked at Michigan State. And it worked out really well for him for, he played 4 or 5 years. And as you're talking about that Lions team, Greg Hill was the running back for him on that same season.
Yeah, he was. And man, Paul Edinger and you, I didn't know you were holding you.
Yep.
Of all people, Louie, you did it to me.
And after that, the Lions went down in the tank, kind of like what the Jets have been doing. Took the Lions a long time to come back.
Right.
Well, one team, Louie, that's not in the tank here, the Kansas City Chiefs. We're living in this wonderful dynasty era, and we appreciate you so much for being a part of the show today. Before we let you go, we're going to each hit you with we got our fast 4 questions, 4 quick ones, one from each of us, and you give us whatever comes to mind. And mine, Louie, because Noah and I ran into you at the Foreigner concert a couple summers ago, I got to ask you, what's the last concert that you attended, and what's the next one you got coming up?
Well, who opened up for Foreigner that night?
Loverboy, baby.
Yes. I once saw Loverboy and Sammy Hagar at the same place. We sat in the same seats because I got tickets. I'm good friends with Mike Reno, the lead singer from Loverboy. So I get my seats and I'm all, we're my boys from KC.
Oh, I wanted to be at that show. I love Sammy. St. Louis is a Sammy town too, man.
Yes, it is.
Red Rocker all day. Good answer.
The Red Rocker and Loverboy. I've known Mike Reno now for about 25 years.
He's been on my rock podcast, so it's great. Yeah, he's great.
I wasn't allowed to go to the concerts, rock and roll concerts back in the 80s, My parents, oh, no, you're too young. I'm okay. Now that I'm 58, I'm hanging out with the 80 rockers. It's great.
Making up for lost time.
Yep.
Hey, Louie, what is or was and currently is your favorite restaurant in Kansas City? Like when you come back to Kansas City, you're like, I got to go there and get some. What is it?
Oh, God, there's so many good restaurants. Every time I go, I either hit, I know you're asking for one, but I either hit Kansas City Joe's, Gates, or Zarda's.
There you go.
I mean, I can't pick one because all 3 of them have something different that I like, and it's whatever my taste buds tasting that day. Those are my 3 go-tos when I go into town.
Just hit all 3 for your favorites. Get your favorite at each one.
Steve Bono says there are none.
Yeah.
Steve Bono said he didn't say that.
Don't get me in trouble.
Putting Louie in a really weird situation here right now. But hey, just for the record, Louie, you might want next time you're in town, bro, you need to hit up a place called Slaps. It's on the Kansas side, and it's right off the highway that goes into downtown Kansas City, Missouri. I think it'd be well worth your time, man. Just throwing that one out there.
I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, man, you'll have to definitely go out there. But my question to you, it's a very simple one, Louie. You know football. You've been paying attention to the Chiefs. It's the biggest question we're all asking and waiting to know, if it's going to happen or not. Is this team going to three-peat, man?
If they can keep winning with their injuries, they can do it. Because I still remember, 95, we were 13-3. We had the same team come back next year in 96, and we had a ton of injuries. So, and we didn't win games. We went 9-7 that year, I believe. If this team is winning without Pacheco, without Rashid Rice, and a couple of other guys, I mean, this team's good. I mean, Andy knows they didn't have the receivers last night, so they're running. How many teams run 4 tight ends?
Right.
I love that.
Who runs 4 tight ends?
14%.
Andy Reid does.
Right.
And they run the ball. I was waiting for them to come out and wishbone at some point last night. Because they have 4 tight ends. Let's just go 4 tight ends, wishbone. Let's go. Andy Reid knows how to put a game plan together with what he has. He knows how to make a recipe and puts it out there with what he has. He does. He did that in Philly. He's a hell of a coach. He really is. So if these guys, they keep winning with the injuries that they have, when they come back, this team's going to be even that much stronger and that much harder to stop. Do I say they're going to go undefeated? No, but can they do a three-peat? I think they can.
I got two really quick ones here for you, Louie. Better hair or mustache, mid-90s Louie Aguiar or training camp Travis Kelce?
Ooh.
He has Taylor Swift.
True, but I think
I
if
think
Taylor
he
had a
wins.
choice, if she saw a picture of mid-90s Louie Aguiar with that hair.
Hey, yeah, I had the
mustache.
hair hanging out the
I think you could have
back.
got her, dude.
Had
I'm
my
just saying.
Fu Manchu.
I'm just saying. I think you
Hey.
could have got her if the times would have aligned differently. I'm just saying.
Yes, back then I might have had a chance.
And then
You're like
the
Magnum PI out there. You know what I mean?
yes, Tom Selleck.
Hey,
And-
hey, Dirk Diggler, come on, give me some props.
There we go.
Oh!
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Then Kurt Schottenheimer and Mike Stock. What did you like about them? How were they different? But what did you like about each of them?
What I loved about Kurt was he was also the tight ends coach. So he left myself and Len Elliott alone, and we did what we needed to do to get ready for games. One thing I loved about Mike Stock, he would ask questions. He would ask us, what do you see on film? And so he would take input just like my pass, and he would take it and look at it and see if it would work or not, and, same with, I kicked off, for onsides, I go, hey, coach, this guy keeps bailing out. Let's take a look at it. So we put fake onsides on. Mike was always, he goes, I don't see everything. He goes, I'm only one coach. He goes, take a tape home. And I would always look at tape. I started doing with the Jets under Al Roberts, and I would have to dissect it, and I'd have to give a report to Al Roberts every week, the 3 years I was there. So when I went to Kansas City, I just kept doing the same thing. And it was great because Mike would always, listen to our input where a lot of coaches don't. And I love that about Mike. And he was cool, calm, and collective. And I love Mike. I still talk to Mike to this day.
Love it. And if not for Taylor Swift, maybe Shelly Smizer Dutton Easton. That's a lot of names, but she says mid-90s Louie for sure.
How did you say that name without laughing just hysterically out loud?
Because I already pulled it up and I laughed.
That is not a real. That is not real. That cannot be real.
I saw his lips moving the whole time trying to read it so he would get it right.
Wow.
So, yeah,
And I've
mid-90s
done it,
Louie, I'll
baby.
take that.
We got one more, Shane. I don't think Shane's got one more.
Yeah, I did. I asked him favorite restaurant. Did you like Garoza's?
Oh, yes. Garoza's on 40 Highway was very, very good.
Hey.
I liked going there and getting their chicken spandini.
Yes.
It's going to help us
Louie,
get a sponsor, Louie. So thank you so much for that.
Louie, we love you, man. Thank you so much for being
Love
on the
you,
show
Lou.
today, buddy.
You're
Thank
the
you so
best,
much.
Louie.
We love it.
I'm honored that you guys thought of me since they're 5-0, that, they got a text, and I was driving, and I see this, and I had to put my reading glasses on. So I'm driving down the highway. They see who's text. Oh yeah, I'll be there. I haven't text back. I'll be home by. I coach high school football. I'll be home by 6 o'clock. I'm ready.
We got the right guy this week here on Arrowhead Allies. Thank you, Louie. You're the best.
I do have a bone. I do have a bone to pick with the Chiefs, though.
Oh,
Talk to me.
You guys always see the countdown at halftime.
Right.
Who's missing this year? Me. Number 5.
yeah.
Well, they got some new
kidding.
kid in there wearing the number 5 jersey, and they put him in there,
No,
and he's injured.
Hollywood
Yes.
Brown. took it.
Yes.
Wow.
They took me out and put him in. I'm all,
Played
I
a
go,
snap.
hey, look, the countdown. They're going down. There's
Yeah.
6. There's 7, 6. There's number. Who in the hell's 5?
That's actually a valid point, man.
It's a
Heck
popular
yeah, dude.
Twitch streamer. I don't know if he
Come on.
plays football, but he's popular on
I was in the
Twitch.
stands. I'm yelling 5. I'm going 10, 9, 8, 7. Who the hell's number 5? Everybody around me goes, what?
We
I'm
may never
awesome.
know.
I'm
We
all,
may never.
they took me off the countdown.
That's unbelievable, man. We need to
Yeah,
make
we're
a
running
right
out of
here.
Time to move on.
Louie. We'll,
I
we'll
have
make sure we
15
get that to the
I'm
right
good.
people.
Yeah.
Well, you get a light. We got to get you a lamp or something in there, and then everything will be right in the world.
No,
Yeah.
we'll talk to some people. Talk to people.
Thanks for coming out of the
Thanks,
dark
Louie.
and spending your Tuesday
Hey,
with
I
us.
tried to.
pal.
I know I'm ugly, so I was trying to save it, for everybody. They didn't have to see my ugly face.
Well, then I need to turn the lights off. What's going on?
I'm like Randy Miller. I got the perfect face for radio.
There you go. Legends.
Always an honor, Louie. We'll talk soon. Thank you so
Thanks for
much for
having me,
being on
guys.
tonight. Take care.
Next concert, we got to be.
Go Chiefs. Man, great guy, man. Great guy.
Oh, Louie's the best. We've seen him, like you said, at the concerts. We saw him at training camp 2 years ago at Alumni Day. So we always love catching up with Louie. Can't thank him enough for being on. But guys, we are 5-0 heading into a bye week. That feels damn good when everybody thought, hey, maybe the Chiefs could start 0-2. They got some tough games. Falcons have Kirk Cousins. Could it be 0-3? No, it's 5-0.
Yes.
And my baby doll, my babe, Kay Adams, has a new Super Bowl team this week, as she does every week. It was the Dolphins after week 1. It was the Bills after week 2. Oh, no. You didn't think I was going to really go there. That accent is not what you think it was, guys, because after week 5, it's the Kansas City Chiefs for my baby doll, Kay Adams. And yes, she is welcome to come on and speak with us about it anytime. Last week, it was the Ravens. They didn't play well enough for this week. She's changed every week. This week, the Chiefs are back in the national spotlight as a team. It's almost like the media's had to take an about face and go make a 360 the first 4 weeks. Oh, we got all these reasons. We can punch holes in this. This three-peat's not going to happen. This offense isn't playing well. And now it's almost like a collective, we just have to say the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, as Pat McAfee would say. And 5-0 feels pretty good going into a bye week, which is coming at a good time, I believe, even though it's early.
My question about Kay Adams is, why is when she's doing her show, she holds on her face sometimes and she's like, well, who do you think is the best quarterback? Like, is she going to sleep during her interviews or what?
It's early in the morning.
Yeah, get your hand off your cheeks.
Up and Adams.
I'm not being sexist or anything,
Down
but
Adams.
look like you actually please look like you actually give a crap about doing an interview, not like
otherwise give the interview to us.
She's leaning into the charm that she created on Good Morning Football. It's a shtick. I'm not hating because that's Clint's woman, but I will say, so in respect to Clint's future ex, I will say that she, she has this little charming shtick where she wears like the oversized sweaters that go over her hands, and she always has like a coffee mug, and she just tries to present this like cool, comfy vibe on these shows, and it's just what she does, man. It's how she's always been, so I'll give her that. But that's what's going on.
Can you at least stay with one Super Bowl prediction? Like,
thank you.
It doesn't change week to week.
Like, we're on a bye week, so now it's going to be the new hot flavor, whoever shows her the most this week. So
no, it reminds me of back in the day when you would have the helmets on the stage, the teams that impressed me. Remember, you would have the helmets. These teams impressed me.
Right.
And I had like 20 helmets.
Yeah. She only gets one each week. It changes each week, but that's okay. Because the bigger issue being, I think a lot of the national media, like I said, is coming around to this whole idea that the Chiefs are the 2-time Super Bowl champions. They're 5-0. They've beaten an opponent by double digits, which I didn't know was allowed. But this, guys, was the most complete performance of the season. And we will be able to really take to that as we go into the bye week because the injuries have piled up. We know what this team's dealing with. This bye week, week 5, it seemed early when you look at the schedule. Right now, it seems like perfect timing. Taylor and Travis can go somewhere tropical. Patrick and Brittany are fighting over vacation or a Royals game. I'm choosing vacation. It's all on the table. The bye week is here.
The Raiders can catch up. They get a chance to catch up on us.
It's just more. I mean, Andy Reid, they always say his record is great after a bye, except for last year when he lost to the Eagles. Andy Reid comes up with like Harvey Williams, my co-anchor of War Chant Wrap-Up, says he thinks Andy Reid's a mad scientist, and during the bye week, he's going to be sitting in his recliner with a chalkboard on each side, just coming up with stuff. I mean, the 4 tight end stuff is incredible. The fact that Andy Reid can freaking bring Jody Fortson in and catch a 5-yard pass on 3rd and 4, when he was with the Dolphins at the beginning of the season, speaks of the mad scientist that is Andy Reid, that he can come up with this 4 tight end creativity. What do you think, Lance?
Yeah, this game was an Andy Reid game, and even though Andy Reid still managed to find a way, and I don't want to sound like the negative guy here, but still found a way to get in the red zone 7 times and only convert touchdowns twice. Yeah. I think that you run the ball and you run it successfully like you were last night. Maybe on the 2-yard line you just keep doing that. I don't know. Juju's got to catch the ball, but it's still I think the wrong call was played. Very much felt like the Super Bowl with Pete Carroll trying to get Russell Wilson the MVP, but. Look, yes, Andy Reid found a way to be very creative with the tight end position, which I've always suggested because you want to have bigger targets out there for Patrick, especially when you are limited at the skill positions. What I will say, though, and I hope you guys would agree with me on this, but if you don't, it's okay. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on this briefly. This game was awesome. But after the game, I'm listening to the radio. I always try to get Mitch Holtis's thoughts on things. And, something he said about this, is, the whole, Chiefs are going to have to find a way to try and replace Rashee Rice because he's a star in this offense. He's a star in this league. And you don't just lose guys like that and just, overcome it without, replacing them or at least trying to. And I heard Mitch say, well, this is how it's going to be. This is going to be a committee. And I almost wrecked my car because I was so upset.
No, don't wreck.
Because that is 100% incorrect. And I wish I could have told Mitch that to himself because I would have. That is not how this is going to go because last night is not going to be a representation of how it's going to go every week. Last night was a special night. The Chiefs had an awesome game plan against a hobbled Saints team, and it worked. You're not going to be facing that Saints team every single week. You're not going to have Monday Night Football vibes in Arrowhead Stadium every week. There are going to be teams that challenge you to find a guy open when you don't have a guy like Rashee Rice that will just find a way to get open and create yak yards. You don't have that guy. And as much as I love Juju Smith-Schuster, he's not going to have 7 receptions for 130 yards again this season. Travis Kelce is going to be the guy you're going to have to go to until you find another guy out there. And there are names out there that we know that are on bad teams right now that can and will be traded for. I believe the Chiefs have to do it. That's why I'm wearing this shirt correctly today in Veach We Trust, because I'm trusting that Veach is not going to sit on his hands this during this season before the deadline. He's going to go get Patrick, a guy that can make a difference in this offense, because although last night was fun, I love the creativity from Andy Reid, but it cannot be that way for the rest of the season if this team's trying to three-peat, because they do not have enough at wide receiver to overcome the woes of the injuries they have at Pacheco, Rashee Rice, and Hollywood Brown. Do you guys see it the same way, or is that just me?
No, I
Yes.
agree wholeheartedly, especially with this news that came out. I'm not going to read all this, but basically got his LCL repaired. There's also repair to his hamstring tendon, says Jordan Schultz, but no other major damage in the ACL, meniscus, MCL. So it's good news as far as the damage and the amount of time it's going to take to recover, but it's still looking like 6 months. I know Nate Taylor and Pete Sweeney said 4 months, but some other doctors have come in, whether it's 4 or 6 months, he's done for the season. Because even if it takes him, even if he's healthy after that 4 months, coming back and playing right at the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl, obviously the Chiefs have made it that far. They figured something out. Why are you going to put him out there and possibly re-injure that knee when it just got healthy and it's going to take time to rehabilitate, get into football shape, all those kinds of things. So we definitely need to go get an Amari Cooper, a DeAndre Hopkins, somebody of that ilk. And so I love that shirt in Veach We Trust. DDT says Chiefs equal refs. And my retort is, where were the refs here? I don't.
Yeah, thank you.
I seem to be. Don't we get all the calls? I'm confused on this narrative because
is that DDT right there? Is that boy DDT? Is that a picture?
It's DDT right down there.
Get all the calls. That looks like that's what he's saying with that face. Get all the
I think
calls.
so. That is DDT. I think getting back to the point of wide receivers, yes, the Chiefs, if the Chiefs have until November 5th,
Yep.
the trade deadline, in my opinion, that's too far. If they're going to bring another wide receiver, whether it is Amari Cooper or another wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, they need to trade for him 20 minutes ago. This is the important time to get these guys to learn this offense. They're going to have to learn this offense. I don't want it to be where we pick up Julio Jones or the guy we did 3 years ago that was kicked out of the NFL 17 times because he couldn't stop smoking weed. What's his name? His name is
Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon, and then he doesn't really learn the offense. He's lost a step. We need a real option like an Amari Cooper, like a DeAndre Hopkins. So, and it has to come now. This is the bye week. This is when you make a trade for that guy to learn this offense, because Rashee Rice, they people thinking, well, he might be back in December, January, February, next December after his 10-game suspension. We don't know when he's going to come back. So to Lance's point, yes, Andy Reid is the mad scientist. Well, what he can do with 4 tight ends, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to another wide receiver option. I said last week, Juju Smith-Schuster's got to show the 2022 Juju Smith-Schuster. And with the exception of that batted incomplete pass in the end zone that was intercepted, he looked like the 2022 Juju. But the trade need for any wide receiver of any wide receiver that could step up and be that guy needs to happen right now.
And let me add real quick to that, because Shane's 100% correct about the timing. It is the right time to make it happen now, especially with these teams that have guys available. They have bad records. Their seasons are done. The Browns are done, 100%. Deshaun's cooked. So the way I look at it is also the fact that I posed these polls this week on Twitter when I asked these people, when I asked Chiefs fans, what would you be willing to give up for this guy, or what would you be willing to give up for this guy? It's really a trick question, because if we're going to be honest here, and I think you guys would all agree with me, I think we're all very progressive Chiefs fans here. There isn't a single draft pick in the near future that I wouldn't give up if it meant that they insured the wide receiver position to ensure a three-peat. I think you guys would agree with me on that. But also, it goes further than that. Because if you are talking about 2025, right? We're talking about, well, you got to be right about 2025. Then also, you need to go and trade a wide receiver for this season, because we don't know when Rashid Rice is ever going to play football, guys, because he's also going to get suspended. So we're talking about, we might not get him till next November or December anyway.
Right.
So there's a real possibility that we're looking at a full year, even if he's healthy, that we don't see Rashid back. So you need to go and start getting guys collected for this offense for this season and next season. So there are names out there that you can go get that still have 2-year deals. Christian Kirk's available. Guys like that have 2-3 years left on their deals. They may not be pretty when it comes to the money, but you can fix those things. And if you have to give up a 3rd-round pick or even a 2nd-round pick, what is that pick to you? A backup offensive lineman for a championship? Like, which one do you want? That's the thing I have to ask these fans. I understand the conservative nature of picks because Brett Veach is so good with them. But let's be honest, guys. Sometimes you have to take swings. And when you're going for history and trying to have the greatest dynasty in the history of the NFL, what are you not willing to take, man? I'd rather the Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year and miss the playoffs next season than lose the Super Bowl this year and win it next year. That's how much this three-peat matters to me. I hope it feels the same for everybody else.
I can't disagree with that at all.
No, you got to go all in for this. And, we've seen Sky Moore pop up a lot here in the comments, you guys. And I was going to say, if only there was a former 2nd-round pick on this team that could fill the shoes of a need at the receiver position. It's unfortunate the Chiefs don't have that. Hey,
why don't they just play DK Metcalf or George Pickett? Oh, they didn't draft them. Sorry. My mistake.
Oops.
Too soon.
You're going for McColl. McColl, right?
Hey, McColl had a pretty good game yesterday.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to hear from Nitro.
No, he did not.
No, you don't.
Noah.
Drew McColl.
Damn it. Thank you, Clint. Thank you, Clint, for watching the game with your eyes.
He had a good game. I mean, for McColl, which the bar is so low that for McColl, that was like a top 5 game of his career.
Yes.
So, yes, he did. But that's what the focus is going to be on.
30 yards or something.
That's what this focus is going to be on, because the Chiefs were able to go pick up a Kareem Hunt off the streets and make this offense viable, make the running game viable. And I like that 1-2-3 punch. I don't know that, God, I hate to say it. I hate to do it. I don't know that. Should I say it out loud?
Say it, babe. Say it.
I don't know that you're going to need Isaiah Pacheco back healthy to ensure this three-peat.
Bingo. Because you have a better running back now. Kareem is a more complete back than Isaiah Pacheco. I love Isaiah Pacheco.
I know.
Awesome running back. Kareem Hunt brings more to the table, and this has been proven time and time again, because he's already a better pass threat as well. Guys, he's averaging 10 yards per reception, by the way. He's got 3 catches in 2 games, 31 yards. Kareem Hunt already has 200 total yards. 200 total yards in 2 games, and he was on his couch 9 days ago, 10 days ago, whenever it was. Like, think about that. This man is just a natural stud. And now this team has him back. And
still,
the offense looks amazing. Yes, when Checo goes back, it's only a positive. But like you said,
course,
I don't think they're going to miss a single beat, man, because Kareem is back.
Well, we can't. I want to be careful with Kareem. Yes, it was awesome. He had 28 carries for 102 yards and a touchdown last night. But I think his longest run from scrimmage was 9? But we got to be careful. I mean, the Chiefs ran, I know this was 18 years ago, the Chiefs ran Larry Johnson to the ground when he had 39 carries on Halloween in 2006 for 120 yards. We got to be careful running him, because Kareem Hunt was taking freaking hit after hit after
didn't
hit.
He have not to interrupt you, Shane, but didn't he have like 600 carries in like a 2-year span?
Yes. I mean,
So
I
he
want to be
wore
careful.
down, yeah.
I had no idea Saturday that he had a shoulder issue that they were watching closely. I was like, wow, I didn't know about that. But
Yeah.
they weren't afraid to run him. So I think if you get Pacheco to spell him, he's the perfect guy to match with Kareem Hunt. I can't wait till that happens. But he definitely, in my opinion, hopefully with the 49ers, I don't know if Clyde's going to be back from his PTSD injured reserve thing. I hope he is, because I think Kareem needs he needs some, just to get a good breather, because we're still all nervous about Carson Steele. He's played in 5 games and he's fumbled in 2 of them. So we're still apprehensive about that. And we know, and I know this is another topic altogether that I'm not sure if you guys want to go down. Andy Reid is leery about rookies. You know, Kingsley Suamataia came in last night and we thought, wow, Wanya Morris is going to be out for a long time. He missed 5 snaps, and then Wanya was back at left tackle. Just because, in my opinion, what I see is Andy Reid is still leery about putting a rookie out there. You know, so I think I would love to have a solid back with Kareem as he carries the team through the second half of the rest of this season.
Yeah, I definitely would like something more substantial than we're getting out of Carson Steele, especially with him putting the ball on the ground. We'll see how he does in the coming weeks, but whether it's CEH, whether it's Pacheco when he comes back and they're kind of a 1-2 punch, I think that'll just add to this offense and could spell Kareem, like you said, he's getting 28 carries a game for the rest of the season is not going to keep Kareem healthy where we need to be. But the Chiefs defense is shutting down and keeping these running backs where they do need to be for the Chiefs, and that is under 50 yards for all of these starting running backs the Chiefs have faced. We're adding to the list. I've only got about one more column that I can fit on this graphic, so Chiefs, feel free to ruin my graphic and do this the rest of the season, and I'm trying to fit 17 names on here, but Alvin Kamara, 11 carries, 26 yards, one of the best backs in the league, somebody I wanted to draft in the same draft that Kareem Hunt came out of, but we took the great Tano Passanio. Everyone knows, everyone loves Tano Passanio, but
me and you are so on the same page, Noah.
Unfortunately, the Chiefs didn't see it that way. They did get Kareem, and Kareem had his troubles. He went away, came back, and he had 102 yards, and Alvin Kamara, who's been with the Saints this whole time, 26 yards. So take that for what it is. Kareem should have been here a long time ago.
Is this the best defense in the NFL?
Yes.
Flat out.
Yes, it is. They are the most consistent defense in the NFL because we've seen the best of the other defenses have bad games. The Chiefs haven't had a bad game not only this year, they haven't had bad games in multiple seasons. Guys, I don't know if you saw the stat I've been posting consistently. Matt McMullen from the Chiefs decided to hijack it and use it for himself. But I've been using the stat now for over 3 years that Steve Spagnuolo, under Steve Spagnuolo, the 42 of the last 43 games, the Chiefs defense has not allowed an opponent to score 30 points. Wow. And the only game they did that was against the Eagles in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They haven't. This is how great it is, and it's been 26 consecutive games since that Super Bowl. The Chiefs have not allowed an opponent to score 30 points. People say, "Well, Lance, that's a lot of scoring." Exactly. Every other team has allowed at least 5 times. So that tells you how great this Chiefs defense has been consistently. Chris Jones has been the best Chief this season, and it's not close. And I've told you guys on this show, and I've said it on my show at the Spoken Podcast, and it's ringing truer than ever. Chris Jones was the guy that deserved every penny he asked for, and he's still earning that money, by the way. I think he's underpaid considering what he's doing. But also, this is proving the point that as long as Steve Spagnuolo has that guy, that superstar you paid, you can build a young nucleus through the draft around him and keep it cheap, and it works because it's the system. You don't have to overspend on a linebacker or a cornerback in free agency or a safety. None of that. You just have a couple veterans here or there, like a Drew Tranquil and a Justin Reed or a Tyrann Mathieu, a Frank Clark, guys like that you sprinkle in, and you continue to build it around Chris Jones, who is the greatest interior defensive lineman outside of Aaron Donald over the last 10 years and is the best defensive player in the league right now. So I think it's ringing true, guys. This defense might even be better than it was last season, and I didn't know that was possible. But they're showing us that you didn't need L'Jarius Sneed and spend the money on him. You can let him go, and he's still been awesome in Tennessee, but this defense has not missed a damn beat, guys. Like I said, they are showing you they can shut down great run attacks, which we know the NFL is starting to transition at. Passing games are down, running games are up, and the Chiefs are shutting down not only run games on a consistent basis, but the best of the best We have names on this list, guys, and they're shutting them down. That tells you why they're the reason why I'm so confident this team's going to three-peat, man. They're not going to go undefeated, obviously. We know they give up one clunker every single season at least. We know this defense, though, is consistent as any defense we've seen in this generation, in my opinion.
Damn good points.
Yeah, and the only thing that to counter that, which isn't I believe this is the best defense in the NFL too, right there with the Vikings, what Brian Flores is doing with them, that I don't think the Vikings have a ton of talent on the defensive side of the football. So what he's doing there is very impressive.
Yeah.
But the things I worry about, the linebackers in the pass game, still with the tight ends. I'm not sure what Leo Chenal was doing. He had his head in the backfield when the tight end was clearly releasing and running past him. You should probably follow that man and not keep your eyes in the backfield. You can allow your great defensive line and guys like Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquil to go attack that. And Brian Cook, he giveth and he taketh away.
Sure.
Very good corner, great interception to start off the game, but then got lost on this play to Rashid Shaheed. And so those are two little nitpicky things that aren't going to cost the Chiefs a Super Bowl, a chance at a three-peat. But those are some things I'm keeping my eye on. Maybe some upgrades. Maybe we move on from Brian Cook, let Jamari Connor and Jaden Hicks take that over in the coming years.
That will eventually happen. I'm going to give Shaheed some credit for that. I know we don't do that because we want to criticize the Chiefs, but that was a hell of a move. He had Brian Cook. He had Brian Cook thinking it was going to the left, and Shaheed said, "See, I'm going to the right."
He's been doing that all season.
So that was Derek Carr's best play of the night, and that touch pass over Chanel to
Foster Moreau,
thank you, in the end zone. That was a good play design by the Saints. They had Carr roll completely to his left, and they ignored the tight end coming out of the backfield, and it was a good touch pass. But with the exception of that, I want to piggyback on what Lance said. He nailed it. This defense is playing at a level that we never thought we'd ever see under this regime. We knew that Spagnuolo was going to be an upgrade over Bob Sutton, but man, we are so blessed that Spagnuolo stayed here and they continue to hit on these draft picks and these safeties and these fourth round guys and Jalen Watson. Oh my gosh. Jalen Watson, what was he? 7th round draft pick out of Washington in 2022. He's just, never mind. I'm just filling in for L'Jarius Sneed, who got a bunch of money, and he's playing solid corner. He's a solid second corner. Yes.
Clint's favorite thing about this defense is how they don't force turnovers. I know you love that, Clint.
They did. They forced one, believe it or not. Yeah, we saw Brian Cook. I see you, baby. And yeah, it is. And I think that we talk about Trent McDuffie. When I think about the forcing of turnovers, I think about Trent McDuffie. And I think that maybe, we know what his strength is. He's a lockdown corner. We see it. His side of the field. He had a great game yesterday. And maybe that's not, at some point in his career, that will lead to interceptions, or maybe not, because people are just not going to go to his man, whoever he's covering. And maybe that's the mark of a true great defender in this league, is if you don't have many interceptions because you're not getting thrown against. Hey, it goes around and comes around. This defense.
Colin Saunders has more interceptions than Trent McDuffie.
Oh, yay. I love it's great. I don't know. There's something about this that I'm just like, I'm already over it. Like, okay, we love you, Colin. Used to play here. Great. Hey, great. Fat guys running with it. Okay, great. This isn't Sam Adams in 03 for the Buffalo Bills. It's not that great. No, we love you, Colin.
Hey,
we love you.
We can live with a defense that has problems with tight ends because there's not a lot of great tight ends in the league. I'd much rather deal with that than getting gashed in the run game, because there's a lot of really good running backs and getting gashed by receivers. The Chiefs have been very good. Like you just talked about Jalen Watson, Shane. He's been playing. He's an underrated asset in this defense. And McDuffel bag, as I like to call him, because that dude just wraps up everybody and locks them down.
Yeah,
I would much rather deal with what the Chiefs are dealing with. You're right, Noah. Obviously, yes, they have a very, very strong weakness. That's a weird way to say it, but they have a big weakness. They have a big time weakness at tight end. It's been prevalent all year long, and it's been a problem. But I can live with that over them just getting destroyed by, a wide receiver. They played Drake London a couple weeks ago, and he has 130 yards like he does against whoever it was the other way, or against the Buccaneers. Like, I can live with this, man. But yeah, they still need to get better at that for sure. But I feel so confident this defense is going to continue to in stride the way they've been doing for seemingly 3 straight years now.
And Black Friday is going to be coming before you know it. And you go out there, look for your deals, put out a 10 outside Best Buy. The Chiefs are getting a deal because Charles Omenihu is going to be coming back around that time to add to this defense in the pass rush. We need Mike Dana back. We need Charles Omenihu. That's just going to help this defensive line get more pressure on the quarterback. It can't all rely on Chris Jones. I know Karlaftis is getting pressures. He needs to get to the quarterback, needs to finish it off. And then we got Chiefs again here. Do you think we will get Hollywood Brown back before the playoffs? I don't know about before. I think somewhere in the middle of the play. Maybe he's ready for a divisional round. Maybe that's where we start.
I can see AFC Championship. I think AFC Championship would be when you get Hollywood Brown back, and then you have 2 weeks if they were to win get in the Super Bowl, get adequated for the Super Bowl. I think that's the only way you see Hollywood Brown back, is that they have a deep push, which we all expect.
Where do you think he might fit in, Lane? Just to kind of piggyback off that, where do you think he might fit in if they do bring an Amari Cooper back and Xavier Worthy develops, and then we've got this guy who's been out all year injured, and now he's just finally working his way? How do you think they're going to integrate him?
I know exactly how they're going to integrate him. They're going to utilize him the way that they were wanting to use Xavier Worthy if he was more experienced. You see what they're trying to do with Xavier, but you can tell that Xavier's still growing into his role. That was why I had Xavier so further down in the statistic column this year in my predictions. I had him at about 4 or 5 touchdowns, about 600 yards total. But I had Hollywood around 780 yards and about 6 touchdowns, because I have him as that guy that may not have a lot of volume. He's only going to get like 3 or 4 catches a game, but they're going to be 17, 18 yards per reception. I see him as that guy that's going to stretch the defense, make them respect it. But I also said there's a blessing in disguise with his injury, because what it's going to do is it's going to force Xavier Worthy to grow up a little bit faster, kind of like a Rashee Rice did last season. And by week 8 and 9, he all of a sudden became the wide receiver 1 on this team. I'm not expecting that from Xavier, but having said that, he is a first-round pick, which means there's more expectations on him than even Rashee was coming in his rookie season. So now that Hollywood's been out of the picture and will continue to be out of the picture until possibly the playoffs, I think that Xavier Worthy can grow into that role where now you have a problem, which is a good problem, and it's called depth at the same position and same style of player. So, yeah, and all of a sudden we might end up having that here in Kansas City at wide receiver if Hollywood Brown is able to come back. But I do expect him, because you saw the chemistry being built between him and Mahomes all throughout training camp, all throughout the short preseason part we saw. You saw that Patrick wanted to utilize him in this offense and become an integral part of this offense. I expect there to be something close to that, and I also expect Hollywood Brown to be back in 2025, because his market's going to be next to nothing, and he'll only be 27 years old, and I think that him and Patrick Mahomes have unfinished business to attend to.
Big time.
Well said. And predictions for the bye week, anybody?
Go
Chiefs.
Go sleep.
Travis and Taylor somewhere tropical. Maybe we'll get real lucky and they'll be in swimsuits and a hand on her butt for a photo op. Juju's going to go to Japan or somewhere. He likes anime. Yes. He's going to wind up going to a Pokemon convention. For Patrick and Brittany, oh my goodness, what predictions!
Patrick's going to be in the playoffs. He's already said he's going to be at the playoff games the next 2 days. So Patrick Mahomes, since Patrick Mahomes is already going to be at the K, let's make that trade for that wide receiver tonight. So before he goes to the playoffs, he can work with them before he watches the next 2 Royals games. So let's make that trade happen, V. These guys, we just got to learn this offense.
Look, all these storylines are fun and interesting to think about, guys. The one I'm worried about the most is when is Clinton, K going to tie the knot here? That's what I want to know.
Oh,
man. Kay Adams. I want to see, when is Clint going to slide
I'll tell you when, Lance.
Make it official. I don't know.
When she has the same Super Bowl prediction 2 straight weeks, that's when I will make sure that we take that to the
next
level.
She got family at least Summit, bro. She's not hard to find. We can definitely make this happen. I'm just saying, dude.
I got a buddy, my buddy John Neldon, shout out. He is the biggest Kay Adams fan. When we see her at the Super Bowl and stuff, he's like, "Can you say hi for me? Can you give her a
photo?"
And I'm like,
face. You can go, "Hi, I'm Kay. How you guys doing?"
Shane, I do love your Kay Adams. I do admit
Is that on point?
I love it.
I'm just asking because I usually jump into the middle of her show and she looks like she's half asleep doing the interview. So I was just like,
so it's true, dude.
I must have missed something. So
true.
I know it's tough the bye week can't score any points. There's no players out there, but I think the Chiefs win 9-4. McCole and Sly fumble kickoff returns, try to get them, bumble the ball back through the back of the end zone. So there's 4 points for the bye week. 9-4. Chiefs are your victors. That's all for us. We're desperately out of time.
Next Tuesday, go Chiefs!
All right,